welcome to another episode of Breaking the Guard. Quite a few things have gone on over this past week. I just got back from Miami, so I'll talk a little bit about that. We have a UFC just finished on Saturday night, and we also have the UFC BJJ show that is almost finished, I think, now. So let's start off with my Miami trip. For me, it was a great time. Got to see my family, got to teach at my gym, and got a good amount of beach time. You might be able to tell by some of the tanning and peeling going on. But it was also another great part of that trip. We got to promote two people to black belt. Well, one of them was already a black belt, but our oldest black belt, Jon became our first fourth degree black belt. And I look back at, man, I'm getting old when I realize that he's been training with us since 2003 February. We opened our gym in its current location in November 2002, and he joined just a few months afterwards. And he's been training consistently the entire time. So you're talking about somebody who has, 22 years with us now? Very impressive, right? That just having a relationship with someone for that long doesn't come by easily. And Jon as himself is a great guy, great character. He's a firefighter, or I think he was. I think he recently retired. But just a great human being, and like one of the people I'll be proud to call a black belt. I think it's a better reflection of me and my brother than it is on him because he's such a genuinely good person. And he's been a black belt, I believe now, for 14 years. So he is now one of 13 people we have promoted to black belt. And my brother and I have been teaching since 2000, maybe him since 99. So give or take 25 years. And we've put out 13 black belts, which is not something that we give away lightly, is what I'm trying to say. Because I see some people have lots of black belts, and for us, it doesn't come as easily. Although we did create a new black belt as well that day, Leo and Lionel, and he is now the 13th. It was also on a Friday, so he's like, oh, I'm cursed taking on Friday the 13th as the day I got my black belt. And I think that's just going to make more people scared of you. Right? And he's another really good guy. He's a student of the game. I think he's been training now, it's like 5 years. No, I think it's like 7 years with us. And another guy who's just always on there, very consistent, and he is a student of the game himself, studies it a lot. In fact, he's does a YouTube channel that's much bigger than mine. So he's pretty. What I liked about it, he's all in on this, and a guy who's passionate about the game. So I love it, and so he's a great addition to our roster of black belts. Happy to see that the next generation, because he's a young guy as well, so he'll be around for a while, I imagine. I also got to share some of the newer techniques and concepts that I've been working on more. You guys I'm gonna post everything, so you guys will see it in the coming months and whatnot. I did also get to train with some of these guys I haven't trained with in a long time. My train of thought was quite slow there. But for example, Leo, I hadn't trained with him in a while, so it was nice to be able to roll with these guys. And everybody I roll with, I try to use everything that was just teaching them so they can see the application of it in vivo. So that was a lot of fun. Anyhow, back home here in Vegas now. Yeah, I covered a little bit on Friday the UFC BJJ show. They've now since put on a show on Friday, Saturday, and today on Sunday. I believe their last uh, aired one will be Sunday. I mean, tomorrow, Monday. And this is going to be a big spoiler, so if you don't want to hear the spoilers, then I guess you can tune out. Although, if you've been on social media, the UFC has done a pretty weird marketing thing where they released the show early in the morning on Fight Pass. I guess it must be happening at 7 or 8 a.m. But they also, when the moment they put the show live, they're putting all the results on Instagram, which is somewhat confusing because I see the same comments in all their posts because they'll put like somebody winning by submission is dangerous, and they show the video clip of the win like the same time that the show's airing, and you just see everybody going, "Oh, thanks for ruining the show for me." And it's like every day they've been doing the same thing because they've been dropping these episodes on a daily basis. You would think you would wait until at least the show finished being live, so to speak, because they broadcast it. I think it must be 9, and then they finish at 10 or something like that. Because I know today I actually went to watch the episode, and it was live, and I actually got to the end of the episode the moment I jumped in. I'm like, oh, I guess I saw the result already. I don't know. Weird strategy. You would think you would tease them with the social to get them to watch the full thing and maybe show the highlight the day later or whatnot. Anyhow, what I said on Friday still holds true today. The actual reality show stuff kind of sucks in my opinion. The matches, now that I've seen a few more of them, they are not showing the full match. They're not sure. It's not highlighting it. They're kind of what they call it. Then they call it jump cutting, right? Where they're just moving from one, like it'll be maybe 3 minutes in, and they'll jump into like 30 seconds as they change the camera angle without seeing the time. So I remember one of the rounds lasted like a minute. I'm like, what the hell happened here? It's a 5-minute round. So they are selectively editing it, I'm assuming for user entertainment, which is fine. Just a little weird that you're not showing the full episode of the full fight. If, in MMA, that would kind of be weird if you just showed part of the fight. I think with grappling, it might be a little easier to do these, jump cuts because a lot of the same positions happening. However, the lightweight divisions are essentially leg lock battles. They're just all people playing footsies. Or I guess the bantamweight divisions. The lightweight divisions, to me, are the better matches because they're actually doing everything. Seems like the lightweights, the bantamweights are just trading leg locks the entire time until someone comes out on top. I think today's episode was one exception where I think it was Moreira actually got into like an anaconda, or it might have been, I think it was anaconda. It could have been a Dars, but I think an anaconda. And he finished the match in the anaconda. Couldn't finish it, the time ran out. But other than that, they were trading leg locks the whole time. The lightweights, however, are actually getting, back takes, guard passes. They're going to, front chokes and arm locks and all sorts of different things. So, in my opinion, lightweight division, a lot funner to watch. I think it's more reflective of if you're watching MMA, what the type of grappling you would expect, right? The bantamweight seems to be very sport jiu-jitsu-y, where it's like all guard pulls and like people trying to, scoot around and play these like, inverting games, like something you will never see in MMA because you can't play that style in MMA. You'll get punched or soccer kicked, right? It's just not going to work. But the lightweights, guys like Andrew Tackett, Andy Varela, they're actually going for a style that's more reminiscent of MMA. Like this is like real, in a real fight, this is the type of grappling you're gonna do. So lightweight division, thumbs up. Bantamweight division, thumbs down. That's my take on it, anyways. And I think the talent level is also equivalent to that. Like the guys at lightweight, they're all really tough. There's no easy matches there. I think the bantamweight is a little bit more, not as high level in my opinion. That said, they already did one round of the semis, and then, like I said, tomorrow would be second round of the semis, and then the final, I think they're going to do as a live event and not on the broadcast, if I understood it correctly, because they're also going to have Musameshi and I can't remember their Bible coach's name because, like I said, is another weird selection that it's a guy I never heard of. I'm sure he's good. Apparently he's really strong because he beat everybody on the show in arm wrestling. For somebody who's lighter than everyone else is kind of weird. But just a weird thing. And it's funny because whenever they have these match breakdowns, he has nothing to say, and I don't blame him. He's not an English speaker, you know. When they put Mikey's like giving all these different analysis, and then like he'll be like, he got the takedown, he got a rear naked choke, he won. And it's like, why are we doing this to this guy? Like, you know, let him. I mean, I guess he has the option to speak Portuguese because I see sometimes they let him do that, but it didn't seem like a great choice for somebody you want to headline a show and be like the rival to Musamechi. I don't know. It's just weird choices, in my opinion. I'm not sure how well this show is going to do. Although apparently one of the episodes got 1 million views on YouTube, so that's obviously good. But that's surprising to me, to be honest. I don't think this show has been produced that great. However, I hope it does well because I want to see more avenues of competition, although I'm not a big fan of UFC trying to dominate this space. But if we have the UFC, ADCC, IBJJF, and CJI, and all these other events competing, that's going to be better for the athletes having more options. Now, moving on to the UFC, last night the one real match of consequence was Khalil Rountree and Jamal Hill. Jamal's ranked number 4, Khalil's number 7, light heavyweight division. These are two guys, well, Hill was a former champion, and Khalil had challenged Pereira, and arguably, well, besides Magomedov, gave Pereira his most challenging fight, being a striking battle in recent time. And Khalil shows he's still very, very dangerous. The fight with Jamal went kind of how I would have figured, that he would have been the better striker. I haven't really seen Hill being like a grappler, so it was more like a boxer versus a Muay Thai guy, and Muay Thai won here. Khalil blasted the legs of Jamal, and particularly with calf kicks, and you could see. I thought it was funny because between the first and second round, Hill's corner is like, oh, you heard him with that calf kick. He's feeling it. And the first thing that happens in round 2, Khalil blasts Jamal with another calf kick, and then Jamal is completely on shaky legs for the rest of the fight. He's switching stances. He's being forced to fight from the opposite stance because he can't stand on that leg, and you could see the legs swollen and red. Jamal was also throwing leg kicks and calf kicks, but not to that effect. They're built different. Khalil's like a tank, and obviously training Muay Thai all the time, so you know they're doing all the leg conditioning. Jamal doesn't look in great shape. I mean, physically, not a specimen, right? He's a big dude, taller, and probably more limby, but he's not as lean as he could be, right? Like if we're optimizing for muscle mass, he has a good amount to go. I might be leaner than him, right? And that's not saying much in my opinion. Like I just train for being healthy and happy, right? I'm not trying to be the optimal fighting machine at the moment. So he should be leaner. Khalil, on the other hand, is probably as lean as he can get and built like a tank. So he can absorb much more punishment. And Khalil was able to drop Jamal a few times, but to Jamal's credit, he kept kind of coming up, never stood on his back or whatnot. And both of them didn't go for a takedown the whole fight, keeping Khalil's streak of 0 takedowns alive and well, which in this fight made sense perhaps, but in other fights doesn't make sense. And it's funny to me because they talk about him training grappling and all that. It's like, yeah, but it's pretty worthless for him because the only time he's going to be in the ground, he's unconscious. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. He should, in my opinion, incorporate ground fighting into his thing, especially if he's going to try to be a title holder, because that would be, if I was him, the next time I challenge for the title, I'm going for takedowns, right? He's not a young guy, so in the fight world, I believe he's 35. So he's at probably his technical peak. And this is likely the last run for the title he's going to have. He needs to make the most of it. So if you had an ace up your sleeve, you should be pulling it in that title fight. And him going for takedowns would be that ace in the sleeve, right? Like if he does have, I know he trains grappling, I believe it, and he might be good at it too. So it would be silly not to incorporate takedowns into your fight game, because most people will probably not expect it, and it's going to ruin their base because they're not going to have to lower their stance to account for takedowns. Even if you don't care to stay on top, just by adding it in there, you're going to make your striking much more effective. But he won that fight 5 rounds to none, and he's calling for whatever it takes to become the champion. So if he can get a title shot, he'll take it. If he needs to fight someone else to get a title shot, he'll do that. So he didn't call anybody by name, but he wants that belt. So like I said, like if he has the ace up his sleeve, he's been holding on to a trick for one special moment, that next title shot, he needs to use it, right? Because like I said, at this age, he needs to take advantage of it. Now, something else that has happened, they announced yesterday, I think in the press conference, post-fight press conference, is Jon Jones has officially retired from the UFC. And Dana White declared this and also said now Tom Aspinall is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. In my opinion, he should have been the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world the moment that Francis Ngannou vacated the belt when he decided to pursue boxing and went to the PFL. But better late than never. So congrats to Tom. He did fulfill his prophecy that he mentioned months ago that he was going to retire Jon Jones without ever fighting him. For Jon, he left the sport in one of the more disgraceful ways, in my opinion. He's been alluding to this for a while now, saying the UFC knows my plans, and I don't know why they're not announcing it. So it might not be on him. And if it's not on him, the UFC did it really dirty then, because they're making him look like a complete ass, like a coward, pretty much, that held up the division for over a year. if it wasn't him, I mean, if it was in fact him going back and forth, because I've read reports saying that the UFC offered him a big sum of money that he asked for. Well, I think the order was they wanted him to fight. He wanted a big sum of money. They gave him that sum. He asked for a bigger sum. They gave him the bigger sum, and then he still said he didn't want to fight. That's, again, allegedly, that's what has been reported. I'm not sure if that's true or not. But there's the optics for Jon Jones is that now he basically retired to duck Tom Aspinall. And everything he's been saying only like reaffirmed that, right? Like, oh, like I'm living my best life. That I don't think that's being a duck. And it's like, yes, that's exactly what it is. Because you're ducking somebody because you want to get into a tough fight, right? You're living your best life so that you can avoid the tough fight. So it looks terrible for him. Not to mention that on the same day, apparently they just charged him with a misdemeanor because he did another hit and run, allegedly, where apparently a woman was found drunk in a car, and she said that she was with Jon, and he crashed the car, and then he got out and ran out of the car. And that woman was not his wife. And apparently there's an innuendo that there was some sexual activity involved. And that's how this guy's going to leave the sport. It sucks that he is probably the most talented fighter to ever show up in MMA, at least in my opinion. But that he's such a bad character, like morally and ethically, just all around, just doesn't seem to be a good guy. I haven't met him in person, but just by judging of the actions and the scandals that he's involved himself with, all the PEDs that he's popped for, the eye gouging and stuff. It's like, man, why did he have to go out so ugly? He could have won that fight against Miocic, got that belt, even though I don't think he deserved it. But whatever. And then he could have just retired there and said, I'm done. And, people wouldn't have been happy about it anyways. But it wouldn't have been scandalous. It would have allowed the division to have continued to grow. Tom could have been fighting, this whole time, taking on challengers or whatnot. It would have been better for that division. Because now that division is pretty cold. So Tom has to start taking out challengers right away to bring that division back to life. Because it feels like the exit of Francis already made that division less interesting. Then Jon Jones stalling out the division just killed a lot of the interest. Right? So hopefully Tom can bring it back to life along with the rest of the cast of the heavyweight division now that there's flowing blood in that division. But really wish that Jon didn't go out the way he did. And he doesn't look like he's going out to a better place. Judging by this guy. I've told people, man, he's got money. Get a chauffeur, dude. Why are you driving? Obviously you get drunk and intoxicated all the time. You shouldn't be behind the wheel, right? You should have someone drive for you. And if you don't want to be fancy, just get an Uber, man. Why are we doing this? It's just insane. And it's actually my wife explained to me why he runs away, because it's easier, it's a lesser charge, apparently, if, at least what she was telling me, if you run away from an accident versus getting a DUI. Which is curious, right? So it's that's a weird thing. Legally, you would think that running away would be